Hello, everyone. Tonight, we are standing at the edge of reality and disbelief. The room is dim. Outside, the wind is brushing the leaves against the window, like fingers trying to get in. My TV hums in the background, flickering scenes I'm not even watching. I'm alone. Or so I think. A half-full mug of tea sits beside me, lukewarm and forgotten. It's a Thursday evening, quiet, uneventful, until a knock breaks the stillness. 3 knocks, firm, measured. Not the kind a neighbor makes. Not the kind a stranger makes either. These feel intentional. I hesitate. My breath catches as I approach the door, my fingers hovering just above the handle. I peer through the peephole, and then my heart stops. Standing there, in a faded hoodie and jeans that hang too loose on their frame, is my best friend, Callie. The same Callie I mourned 2 years ago. The same Callie whose name is etched into a granite headstone under a willow tree in Hillgrove Cemetery. I open the door slowly, my voice caught somewhere between fear and hope. She looks older. Her hair is darker, maybe dyed. Her eyes are wild, pleading, but unmistakably hers. "I need your help," she whispers. "Please don't scream." I don't scream. I freeze. My mind races, grasping at explanations. A prank? A twin? A dream? But none of those things explain why my best friend, legally dead and buried for over 700 days, is standing on my porch with trembling hands and a tear-streaked face. I want to ask everything at once. Where have you been? Why didn't you tell me? Are you real? But instead, I step aside. Silently. She walks in like a ghost, returning to its old house. I close the door behind her, and for the first time in 2 years, my life is no longer quiet. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And comment below, what time and what city are you in right now? Because this story, it's about to take you places. Now, turn off the lights. Maybe turn on the fan to have some soft background music, and let's start our journey tonight. The night Callie died is still etched into my memory like a scar. It was raining, one of those relentless, curtain-like downpours that made everything feel heavier, slower. I remember pacing in my living room, phone in hand, trying not to overthink why she hadn't texted back. She always texted back. Callie was punctual, borderline obsessive about communication. A 10-minute silence from her felt like a full-blown emergency. That night, it was 2 hours. Then my phone rang. I remember that moment in strange clarity. The smell of popcorn burning in the microwave. The eerie light of the street lamp through the window. My heart racing before I even answered. It was her brother, Ethan. His voice cracked like it had splinters in it. "There's been an accident," he said. Those words collapse time. You remember every syllable, every breath, and yet none of it makes sense. Ethan told me Callie's car was found wrapped around a guardrail off the I-47 cliffside, halfway between the city and her weekend cabin. The police said she'd lost control in the storm. The impact was massive. The car had caught fire. Dental records would confirm everything. I didn't want to believe it, but the facts lined up. Closed casket. Cremation recommended. Her belongings retrieved from the glove compartment. No one could even say for sure what music had been playing in the car, but the news said it was fast and fatal. I remember the funeral. I remember not crying. Not because I wasn't grieving, but because it didn't feel real. Callie was the kind of person who burned so bright you felt her in the room before she even opened her mouth. And now, she was gone? Friends hugged me. Her mother sobbed. Ethan gave a stammering eulogy. I stood there like someone watching a scene in a movie they'd already read spoilers for. It didn't compute. She was too full of unfinished plans. The trip to Italy we'd been planning, the project we'd brainstormed for a nonprofit together, her dream of writing a book. And then there were the questions. Callie never took that route to the cabin. She avoided that cliffside highway because of the sharp bends. She always said it gave her Final Destination vibes. Why was she alone that night? Where was she really going? Still, grief silences doubt. I buried my questions along with her memory. Everyone told me I had to move on. I tried, but nothing filled the space she left behind. Not the random texts I'd start to send before remembering she wasn't there. Not the dreams where she'd show up just to vanish again. Not even the group photos I stopped looking at, because seeing her smile made my chest ache. People don't talk enough about what it means to lose someone who anchored you. A best friend isn't just a person. They're a routine, a part of your identity, a mirror. And when that mirror disappears, you forget how to see yourself. So I drifted. I changed jobs, moved apartments, cut my hair, but nothing changed the silence in my inbox, where her name used to light up. And now, as I sit across from the living ghost of Callie, every cell in my body is screaming for answers. She stares at me from the couch, like she doesn't know where to start. Her hands are clenched in her lap, and her breathing is shallow. I open my mouth, then close it. Then finally I ask, what happened that night? Her eyes well up, but she says nothing. Not yet. Just a slow, devastated shake of the head. I don't push. I can't. Because if she says the wrong thing, if this moment unravels, it might mean I imagined everything. Instead, I walk to the kitchen and pour us both a glass of water. My hands are shaking so hard that half of it spills on the counter. I don't wipe it. She takes the glass but doesn't drink, and I sit, in silence, staring at a girl who died. We met when we were 12. Callie was the new kid, a transplant from Colorado, with sunburnt cheeks and a mouth that never quite closed around her big front teeth. I was quiet, awkward, and obsessed with drawing dragons in the back of my notebooks. We were seated next to each other in homeroom, and on the first day, she slid a pack of gummy bears across the desk and whispered, "You look like you need these more than I do." That was it. We were locked in. Over the years, our bond grew deeper than anything else in my life. We were polar opposites. She was loud, daring, the first to sneak out or jump into a lake fully clothed. I was cautious, the voice of reason, the one holding her bag while she climbed a tree she wasn't supposed to. But we balanced each other. We were a seesaw that never touched the ground. We knew each other's deepest secrets, fears, crushes, passwords. There were weeks when we practically lived in each other's houses. My parents adored her. Hers were complicated, often absent or distracted, but she clung to our family like it was her own. And we gave her that. In college, we drifted a little. She went west for film school. I stayed home to care for my dad after his stroke and took classes part-time. But we never lost touch. Not really. She'd call at midnight with half-cooked ideas for a script, ask for feedback, then pivot to talking about some documentary that made her cry. I'd tell her about my awkward dates, my dreams of becoming a journalist, my fear I was wasting my potential. She always told me I wasn't. But something changed in the last year before she died. It started small. A missed call here, a vague response there. She canceled 2 trips back home with flimsy excuses, work deadlines, stomach bugs. She'd always been open, brutally so. But now? There were gaps. Her stories didn't always add up. I asked once if something was wrong, and she snapped, "Don't start that therapist thing on me." It caught me off guard. She apologized later, but the space between us lingered. Then came the final conversation. 2 days before the accident. It was over video chat. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept. Her hair was messy, her hoodie zipped up to her neck, even though it was summer. "I've been thinking about disappearing," she said. "Just like that." I laughed. "You mean, like going off-grid for a while?" She didn't laugh back. Like actually disappearing, starting over, becoming someone else. I joked again, nervously. "You planning to fake your death or something?" She looked at me, deadpan, and said, "You'd be surprised how easy it is." There was a silence between us, the kind that made your skin itch. I asked if she was okay. She said she was just tired, burnt out. "I'll call you next week," she promised. "Big things coming. You'll be proud." Then the call ended. 2 days later, she was dead. And now, She's not. I sit across from her in my dimly lit apartment, staring at the living proof that I wasn't imagining the weirdness, the withdrawal, the chilling words I'd brushed off. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whisper. Callie winces, like the question slices her deeper than I meant it to. "I couldn't," she says. "Couldn't or wouldn't?" She doesn't answer right away. Her fingers fidget with the hem of her sweatshirt. "You were the only person I wanted to tell," she says, "but that made it more dangerous." I feel anger welling in my throat. I choke it back. Dangerous? Since when was my best friend part of something dangerous? She looks at me, eyes dark and wet. "You were always the safe one, the one I'd go to if the world burned, but I couldn't take you down with me. So I made you think I was gone." That night on the porch, I opened the door to a ghost. Now, I'm beginning to suspect I've opened the door to something far more complicated. The funeral felt staged, even then. It's strange what you remember when grief is tangled with confusion. I can still feel the weight of the umbrella in my hand as the rain thudded relentlessly on the black canopy overhead. I remember the sound of the minister's voice, low and methodical, reciting the same script he'd likely read hundreds of times. But none of it felt real. None of it touched the part of me that believed Callie was truly gone. The casket was closed. That was the first thing that unsettled me. They said it was because of the fire, that there wasn't much left to see. But part of me, some strange, irrational part, kept whispering, "What if that's not even her in there? What if it's someone else? What if there's no one at all?" I didn't voice it. You don't speak that kind of thing at a funeral. You nod. You hold hands. You swallow the strange taste of disbelief and call it grief. But the questions were there, simmering beneath the surface. Why wasn't there an autopsy? Why did her parents move so quickly with the cremation? Why did her brother Ethan refuse to talk about the crash in any detail? He'd been distant since the news broke. Cold, almost. I chalked it up to trauma. Everyone handles loss differently, I reminded myself. But there were other things. Her laptop was never recovered. She had thousands of voice notes, journal entries, short film scripts, and she backed up nothing. That wasn't like Callie. She was meticulous about her creative work. Losing her files would have devastated her. Her phone? Destroyed in the crash, I was told. No trace left. The police had said there was no foul play suspected. A slick road, poor visibility. That's all. But they didn't explain how she ended up so far off her usual route, or why she hadn't told anyone she was going up to the cabin. Not even me. And then there was the weirdest part. A week after the funeral, I got an envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was a single Polaroid of Callie and me from high school, taken on the last day before summer break. On the back, written in smudged black ink, "What do you remember the most?" No name, no explanation. I asked Ethan about it, but he brushed it off. Probably something she mailed to you before she, happens sometimes. Delayed mail. Maybe, but it had a fresh smell. The ink felt recent. I didn't know what to do with that. So I kept the photo, tucked it into the back of my journal, like a secret I wasn't sure I was allowed to carry. In the months that followed, I tried to convince myself it was grief, that I was seeing meaning where there was none, that funerals are never perfect, and sometimes closure doesn't come with a bow. But something inside me never settled. And now, here she is, sitting across from me, silent, gaunt, very much alive. I break the silence with a question that's been burning in me since the moment she walked through the door. Whose body did they find in that car, Callie? Her eyes flick toward mine, and something shifts in her face. I don't know, she says quietly. You don't know? She swallows. I didn't kill anyone, I swear to you. That night, I was supposed to disappear. Everything was planned, but something went wrong. She leans forward, voice barely above a whisper. I was being followed, and I wasn't the only one trying to vanish that night. Goosebumps crawl up my arms. I don't understand, not yet, but I feel it. There's more to this than a girl escaping her life. This isn't just a mystery, it's a web, and I've just stepped back into it. The funeral felt staged, even then. It's strange what you remember when grief is tangled with confusion. I can still feel the weight of the umbrella in my hand as the rain thudded relentlessly on the black canopy overhead. I remember the sound of the minister's voice, low and methodical, reciting the same script he'd likely read hundreds of times, but none of it felt real. None of it touched the part of me that believed Callie was truly gone. The casket was closed. That was the first thing that unsettled me. They said it was because of the fire, that there wasn't much left to see. But part of me, some strange, irrational part, kept whispering, what if that's not even her in there? What if it's someone else? What if there's no one at all? I didn't voice it. You don't speak that kind of thing at a funeral. You nod. You hold hands. You swallow the strange taste of disbelief and call it grief. But the questions were there, simmering beneath the surface. Why wasn't there an autopsy? Why did her parents move so quickly with the cremation? Why did her brother Ethan refuse to talk about the crash in any detail? He'd been distant since the news broke, cold almost. I chalked it up to trauma. Everyone handles loss differently, I reminded myself. But there were other things. Her laptop was never recovered. She had thousands of voice notes, journal entries, short film scripts, and she backed up nothing. That wasn't like Callie. She was meticulous about her creative work. Losing her files would have devastated her. Her phone? Destroyed in the crash, I was told. No trace left. The police had said there was no foul play suspected. A slick road. Poor visibility. That's all. But they didn't explain how she ended up so far off her usual route, or why she hadn't told anyone she was going up to the cabin. Not even me. And then there was the weirdest part. A week after the funeral, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single Polaroid of Callie and me from high school, taken on the last day before summer break. On the back, written in smudged black ink. What do you remember the most? No name, no explanation. I asked Ethan about it, but he brushed it off. Probably something she mailed to you before she, happens sometimes. Delayed mail. Maybe, but it had a fresh smell. The ink felt recent. I didn't know what to do with that. So I kept the photo, tucked it into the back of my journal, like a secret I wasn't sure I was allowed to carry. In the months that followed, I tried to convince myself it was grief, that I was seeing meaning where there was none, that funerals are never perfect, and sometimes closure doesn't come with a bow. But something inside me never settled. And now, here she is, sitting across from me, silent, gaunt, very much alive. I break the silence with a question that's been burning in me since the moment she walked through the door. Whose body did they find in that car, Callie? Her eyes flick toward mine, and something shifts in her face. I don't know, she says quietly. You don't know, she swallows. I didn't kill anyone, I swear to you. That night, I was supposed to disappear. Everything was planned, but something went wrong. She leans forward, voice barely above a whisper. I was being followed, and I wasn't the only one trying to vanish that night. Goosebumps crawl up my arms. I don't understand, not yet, but I feel it. There's more to this than a girl escaping her life. This isn't just a mystery, it's a web, and I've just stepped back into it. It starts with a flicker. The porch light outside my apartment buzzes for a second, then dies. A small thing, maybe the bulb, maybe the wind, but Callie freezes when it happens. Her hand tightens around the USB drive in her pocket like it's a lifeline. My mouth goes dry. What was that? I ask, already knowing the answer won't make me feel better. Callie whispers, they watch. My chest tightens. You mean someone's... Not always, but sometimes they do things like that. Knock on doors, cut power, small things to remind you they can still reach you. It's a warning. I move to the window, pulling the curtain back just an inch. The street is quiet, but not in a peaceful way. It's the kind of stillness that carries weight, that makes the hair on your neck rise for no reason. Except now I have a reason. Callie joins me, standing so close I can feel her breathing. We have maybe a day, 2 if we're lucky. To do what? To disappear. My laugh comes out dry and cracked. You just reappeared. You want to vanish again? She nods. For good this time. I didn't come back to drag you into this. But once you opened that door... Her voice falters. They might assume you know everything, whether you do or not. I swallow hard. Do you have a plan? A contact, she says. A woman in the next state. She owes me. If I get to her, she can help set up a new life. But I need your car, and I need someone who can spot if we're being followed. I blink. You want me to come with you? Callie holds my gaze. You're the only one I trust. There it is. The burden wrapped in loyalty. The trap set with love. I should say no. I should call the police, or at least her family. But what would I even tell them? That their dead daughter is standing in my kitchen, clutching secrets that could get us both killed? And besides, I can't lose her again. Not like that. Not into a world where I never get to know if she's safe. I nod slowly. Okay, but we do it my way. Her brow lifts. Which is? We don't panic. That night, we sleep in shifts. I let her take the first nap on the couch while I sit by the window, lights off, heart pounding. Every few minutes, I glance at the clock. Midnight. 12:37. 1:05. Nothing moves on the street, but the silence isn't comforting anymore. It feels like the breath before a scream. When I finally doze off, it's to the sound of Callie whispering my name. Wake up, she says. There's someone outside. I jolt up, heart leaping. She's crouched at the window, pointing. Across the street, under a flickering lamppost, a man stands. Still, watching. I squint. He's not doing anything, not approaching, just there, watching. He's not a neighbor, she whispers. I don't ask how she knows. I believe her. We back away from the window and retreat to the bedroom. Pack, Callie says. Just the essentials. No phones, no electronics. Not even my laptop? She shakes her head. They can trace anything with a signal. We leave it all. By dawn, we're in my car, engine running, duffel bags in the back. I drive. She navigates. No music, no talking. Just silence, broken only by the sound of tires on wet pavement. As we leave the city behind, I glance once in the rearview mirror. The street behind us is empty. But that doesn't mean we're alone. We drive for hours. No GPS. No phones. Just an old, wrinkled map from the glove compartment and Callie's memory guiding us through back roads and state lines like a ghost retracing old footsteps. She doesn't say much. I don't press. I can feel the weight in her silence, and I'm too busy checking the rearview mirror to hold a conversation anyway. Each time headlights appear behind us, my chest seizes. Is it just another car? Or someone following? Eventually, the road winds into woods so thick they drown out the morning sun. Branches arch overhead like ribs, the canopy swallowing the light. The air is damp. We're deep in nowhere, and for the first time, that feels like safety. Where are we going exactly? I ask finally. Callie adjusts in the passenger seat, her voice low. A farmhouse. Belongs to a woman named June. She helped me once when I was first getting out. Getting out of what? Callie doesn't answer, just stares ahead, jaw clenched. We arrive at the house around midday. It's tucked behind a wall of pines, more shed than structure, with peeling white paint and a broken swing dangling from the porch. It looks abandoned, but Callie walks straight up and knocks 4 times. Too short, too long. The door creaks open. A woman stands there in flannel and work boots, her gray hair tied into a braid that falls over one shoulder. Her eyes are sharp, her expression unreadable. She says one word, inside. We follow. The interior is as weathered as the outside. A fire burns low in a stone hearth. The place smells of cedar and old books. Callie and June lock eyes. something silent passing between them. You shouldn't be here, June says. I didn't have a choice. June's gaze flicks to me. This her? Callie nods. She involved? Callie hesitates. She opened the door. That seems to be enough. June sighs and pulls a thick curtain across the window. You've got one night, she says. After that, you're gone. Both of you. We settle into the sitting room. June vanishes into the kitchen, muttering something about soup. I glance around. Walls lined with books, a dusty chessboard, and a battered file cabinet in the corner. You trust her? I ask. Callie nods. She's done worse for people with less reason. That night, Callie finally opens up. We sit on the floor, wrapped in mismatched blankets, the fire casting gold across her face. I didn't plan to fake my death, she says. Not at first. I stay quiet. I was working with a nonprofit in LA, helping expose identity trafficking. It started as digital stuff, black markets, forged papers, deep web archives. But then it got deeper. People were vanishing. Whistleblowers, journalists, even activists. Some would resurface under new names. Others didn't. She swallows hard. I found something. A list. Names, dates, aliases, government contracts. My breath catches. You're saying this goes that high? She nods. I sent it to a reporter I trusted. Then, I got a warning. From who? I don't know. Just a burner email. 2 words. Run. Now. She goes quiet. The fire cracks. That's when Milo contacted me. Said he could make me disappear. Gave me protocols. Ren was part of it. She'd been working the same case from a different angle. I shake my head slowly. And she died instead. No? Callie meets my eyes. She didn't die by mistake. She was made to take my place. A chill runs down my spine. She was the backup plan. In case I hesitated. In case I needed convincing. I feel sick. So what now? I ask. What happens after tonight? Callie looks down at the USB drive in her hand. I finish what I started. Or I bury it forever. I haven't decided yet. We fall into silence. But I already know the truth. We're too far in. And the people we're running from? They don't let go. Callie wakes me up just before dawn. She's already dressed, a bag slung over her shoulder, boots laced tight. Her face is pale, her eyes hollowed by a kind of exhaustion I've never seen in her before. Not physical, but something deeper, older. She doesn't speak right away. They were here last night, she says finally. In the woods. My stomach flips. How do you know? She lifts her phone, not the one she left at my place, but a small burner she must have kept hidden. On the cracked screen is a blurry photo, a figure in black, just barely visible behind a tree, flashlit eyes glowing faintly in the dark. My hands start to shake. They're tracking the signal, I say. She nods. Probably, but not just the phone. Me. Us. June steps into the room behind her, arms crossed, already knowing everything before we say a word. They left tire marks near the fence line, June says. Didn't come close, but they're closing in. I try to breathe slowly. What do we do? Callie turns to June. You said you knew someone who could help make this disappear for good. Not just me, everything. June stares hard, then finally nods. It's not cheap, and it's not clean. I don't care, Callie says. I just need to finish this. She holds up the USB drive. This is everything. Not just what they're doing, but who. Politicians, contractors, fake nonprofits funneling people into silence. It's proof. Not just whispers anymore. I step forward. Then we go. We end it. You said you didn't know if you were going to finish it or bury it. You just made your choice. The drive to the drop point is 2 hours of tension so thick you could slice it. We take back roads, change cars, one of June's, old but reliable. No plates, burned out radio. It feels like something from a spy movie, except every second is real. At some point, Callie begins to talk about what it felt like to disappear. At first, it was terrifying, she says. Losing your name is like losing your gravity. You don't realize how much of yourself is built on being seen. But then, it became freeing. No past, no expectations, no one asking you who you are because you're nobody. She looks out the window. But you still get lonely. No matter how much you hide, you still want someone to remember you, to miss you. I missed you, I whisper. She looks back at me. I know. We arrive at a battered gas station just before noon. From the outside, it's nothing. A run-down shack with a flickering open sign and an ice machine that hums too loudly. But Callie walks in like she's been here before. A man waits inside. Mid-50s, leather jacket, scar across one eyebrow, no name offered, no small talk exchanged. He nods once, then gestures toward the back room. Callie looks at me. You don't have to come. Yes, I do. The back room is bare. Just a table, 2 chairs, and a laptop that looks like it was built before I was born. The man plugs in the USB, and for a moment, there's only the sound of the hard drive spinning to life. Then, files, folders, names, so many names. I catch glimpses, internal memos, redacted reports, transfer logs, phrases like off-grid neutralization and personality reallocation. It reads like something out of a dystopian novel, except it's real. Documented, labeled, executed. Callie hands the man a piece of paper with coordinates and a list of 3 contacts. If anything happens to me, this gets released, all of it. He nods once, then hands her a small envelope. New name, new number, new path. Callie takes it without opening it. Then she turns to me. This is it, she says. I stare at her. Are you going to vanish again? She doesn't answer. The ride back is silent. The moment we reach the woods, we know something's wrong. The fence near June's is torn open. The house's front door is ajar. Smoke curls from the chimney, but no fire's lit. We rush inside. June is gone. The room is overturned. The USB, left in the safe, is gone. Callie's face drains of color. She pulls out her burner, smashes it on the ground, and yells something I've never heard her say before. We're exposed, again. We look at each other, and just like that, we run. We don't stop running until the sun goes down. We dart through the trees, weaving between pines and stumbling over roots. My legs burn, my lungs feel like they're filled with needles, but the fear dulls everything except the pounding of my heart. Behind us, the woods are silent. Too silent. Callie pulls me to a halt when we reach a stream. We can't leave a scent trail, she says, stripping off her boots. We walk through the water for at least a mile. I follow her lead without question. Every instinct screams that this is insane, that I should be calling someone, anyone. But who would I call? Who can you trust when the people chasing you are shadows with badges and burner phones? As the icy water reaches my calves, I glance at her. Her face is tight. Not afraid exactly, resolved. We walk and walk. Eventually, the stream spits us out into a wide clearing, and for the first time in hours, we pause. My clothes are soaked, my fingers numb, but I'm still alive. She is too, but something in her has changed. I should have known they'd come for June, she says softly, that she'd always be in danger. You thought you were being careful. Callie shakes her head. Number I was being selfish. I didn't want to die without telling someone the truth. I thought if I could leave the file with her and vanish again, it would be enough. That it wouldn't touch you. Or her. She sinks down onto a mossy rock. I was wrong. I sit beside her. Why didn't you ever tell me? Before all of this? She swallows. Because I was ashamed. I thought I could do something big, bring down something terrible. But in the end, I just ran. I let someone die in my place, and I left everyone who loved me to grieve a lie. You didn't kill her, I say. I didn't save her either. Silence. Then I ask the question that's been building in my throat all day. What's on that drive, Callie? The whole truth. I need to know. She's quiet a moment. Then, it's not just identity theft. Not just people vanishing. She reaches into her coat pocket and pulls out a second USB, one I didn't know she had. There's footage, she says, from a body cam. It was sent anonymously. Shows a guy in government uniform escorting a woman into a facility. No court order, no paperwork, just silence. My chest tightens. Is she? She was one of the women who spoke out about being stalked after a whistleblower event. Said her emails were disappearing. Friends stopped replying. Then she was gone. Callie looks at the USB. She's still gone. No record, no grave, nothing. I whisper. They're erasing people. Yes, and not just criminals or runaways. Anyone who threatens the system. People with information. People like Ren. I stare at the water. You think they'll come for us now? I know they will. She looks at me, eyes bright with tears. I brought this to you because I thought maybe if someone remembered who I really was, it would mean I still existed, that I wasn't just a ghost. But now, she trails off. Now we're both ghosts. I reach out and take her hand. You're not alone anymore. I open the door. I'm walking this with you. She squeezes back, hard. It's the first time all day she's looked relieved. A breeze ripples through the clearing. Then we hear it. A low, mechanical hum, somewhere far off. A drone. My stomach lurches. Callie leaps up. They've found us! We don't waste time. We grab our things and run again, deeper into the woods. There's no plan now, no backup, no safe house. Just us, two fugitives with the truth in our pockets and 100 eyes in the sky hunting us down. And yet, for the first time, I don't feel afraid. I feel ready. By nightfall, we've reached the edge of a highway. Our bodies are sore, our shoes caked in mud, our breaths shallow from hours of running and hiding. The drone disappeared hours ago, but we don't trust that it's really gone. Nothing about this feels safe. Nothing about this feels over. Callie peeks out from behind the tree line. There's a gas station up ahead, she whispers. Old. Might have a payphone or a burner I can swipe. We're low on cash, I remind her. She gives me a sideways look. Yeah, but we're high on desperation. We wait until the coast is clear, then sprint across the darkened road like fugitives, which I guess we are. The gas station is barely lit, just a flickering neon sign and a single, overworked attendant behind bulletproof glass. Callie goes in while I stay back by the dumpsters, hiding behind a cracked vending machine that smells like oil and spoiled milk. 10 minutes pass, then 20. My pulse won't stop hammering. Finally, she returns, holding a plastic bag. Inside, water bottles, protein bars, and a prepaid phone. No one followed, she says before I can ask. And I got the number. Whose? The journalist. The one I was working with. The one I sent the file to before I disappeared. I blink. I thought he ghosted you. She nods. He did. But now I know why. He was silenced. I thought he'd been bought off. But I think they threatened him. Maybe his family. And you're going to call him? Now? Callie hesitates, then nods. It's time. We retreat into the woods again before dialing. Safer that way. She dials the number, then puts the phone on speaker. 3 rings, then a click. Hello? A man's voice, hoarse, sleepy, not expecting anything. Is this Elias Granger? Callie asks. Silence, then, who is this? You know who this is. Another silence. Then something in his tone shifts. Callie? I need your help, she says quickly. I have everything, the full file, even more than I sent before. You're not supposed to be alive. I am, and they're still out there. We've got names, video, timelines, and they're closing in. I jump in. We need to meet, somewhere public, somewhere safe. He hesitates. They're watching everything. My house, my phone, My laptop. I don't even use my own car anymore. Then name a place, Callie says. We'll be there. He exhales. There's a rest stop on Route 41, 5 miles from the state line. There's a diner that hasn't been open since 2010. Meet me there, noon tomorrow. Come alone, she adds. I will. The line goes dead. We sit there in the silence of the woods, phone still warm in Callie's palm. Do you trust him? I ask. She shakes her head. Not even a little, but he's our only chance. I nod. It's a long shot, maybe a trap, maybe salvation, but either way, we're going. The next morning, we're on the road again. Another car, another borrowed map, another day spent scanning rear views and reading shadows. When we reach the rest stop, it's worse than I imagined. The diner is barely standing, windows boarded up, weeds pushing through the concrete. A place for ghosts, not survivors. But Elias is already there. He sits on the hood of a rust-red car, arms crossed, wearing a threadbare coat and eyes that haven't slept in weeks. When he sees us, he raises his hands to show he's unarmed. Callie steps forward. You said you'd come alone. I did, he says. I've been waiting 2 years for this. We don't sit. We don't shake hands. No small talk. Callie tosses him the USB. Everything's there. It's encrypted. You'll need the passcode. What is it? She looks at me, then says, Ren's name, spelled backward. He nods slowly, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Elias opens his laptop, plugs in the drive, and begins to scan. His brows furrow, his hands tremble. This is enough to burn down a dozen careers, he mutters. Maybe more. Callie folds her arms. Then light the match. He stares at us. You understand what this means? You'll never be safe. If I publish this, you become targets again. This time for good. We already are, I say. He closes the laptop. I'll need time, a few days. I have to be smart. Then be smart fast, Callie replies. We leave the rest stop without looking back. No hugs, no promises, no guarantees. Just a fragile thread of hope in the hands of a man who once vanished like Callie did, and who might finally have the courage to make the truth loud enough to matter. That night, we find shelter in an abandoned cabin off the road. And for the first time in a long time, we sleep. Not because we're safe, but because the truth is no longer just ours to carry. The knock comes just before dawn. Software deliberate. Like someone testing whether we're still alive. I jolt awake, heart instantly pounding, and glance over to where Callie had been sleeping beside the boarded window. She's already gone, crouched by the door with a knife in her hand, something she must have taken from the kitchen drawer last night. Her eyes meet mine, and she raises one finger. Stay still. Another knock. Then silence. The air in the cabin thickens. My ears strain to hear past the stillness, birds, wind, anything, but it's dead quiet. No footsteps, no movement. Callie inches toward the door and presses her back against the wall. Who is it? She calls, voice firm. No reply. She waits a beat longer, then suddenly swings the door open with one hand, knife raised, only to find an empty porch. Nothing. Except a package, wrapped in brown paper, taped clumsily, sitting on the doormat like a forgotten gift. We stare at it. Callie doesn't move. Don't touch it, I whisper. She nods, eyeing the surrounding woods. I slip out the side window and circle the cabin. No one, no vehicles, no rustling. It's like whoever delivered it vanished into the trees. We bring the package inside and place it on the table. She pulls out gloves. Yes, she's that prepared. And begins unwrapping the layers. Inside, a burner phone turned off. A single printed photograph. And a note. The photo is of us. From yesterday, at the rest stop with Elias. From a distance, grainy, but unmistakably us. The note simply reads, You still think he came alone? My breath hitches. Callie clenches her jaw, staring at the phone like it's a time bomb. Elias wouldn't, I begin. But I don't finish the sentence. Because of course he could. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe someone followed him. Maybe he was compromised before we even made contact. We were careful, but maybe not careful enough. Callie sits down slowly, her whole body seeming to deflate. This was always a risk, she says. The moment I made that call, we gave up control. I sink into the chair across from her. What do we do now? She's quiet for a moment, staring at the photo again. Then, we take it back. I frown. What does that mean? She looks up. We don't hide, not anymore. You want to go public? She nods. If they're going to come for us anyway, let them come under the spotlight. Let the world see. I hesitate. That's suicide. No, she says. It's insurance. She picks up the burner phone and powers it on. Within seconds, it buzzes. One unread message. An address. Downtown. In a city 2 hours away. A single line beneath it. Alone. 6 p.m. My throat tightens. A trap. Maybe, Callie says. Or maybe it's our last shot to finish this. I grab her hand across the table. You're not going alone. I have to. That's what the note says. I shake my head. If you walk in there and disappear again, I'll never forgive myself. Her grip tightens. I'm not planning to disappear. We sit in silence, the burner phone buzzing again. Another message. This time, just an image. Elias, tied to a chair. Blood on his shirt. Callie exhales sharply, like she's been punched in the chest. They got him, she whispers. She looks at me. I need you to make a decision. If I don't come back from this, you have to take the USB, the second one, and go to the press yourself. No, I say instantly. We do this together. You're not trained for this. Neither are you, but I'm not leaving. There's a long pause. Then, for the first time in days, she lets out a small, broken laugh. Still stubborn. You taught me that. We make a plan. We won't walk in blind. We'll use a decoy. We'll watch from the outside. And if anything feels off, we leave. We burn the drive. We run again. But neither of us says the truth out loud. If this goes wrong, there might not be another chance to run. At 5:59 p.m., we're in position. The building is old, hollowed out from years of abandonment. A former hotel, once elegant, now rotting from the inside. We park a block away, then approach on foot, sticking to shadows. Callie goes inside. I wait. 15 minutes, then 20. Then, a single gunshot cracks the air. I don't think, I just run. I reach the building just as the echo of the gunshot fades into a terrible silence. The old hotel looms over me, windows like black, empty eyes. My breath comes in sharp bursts as I push through the side door Callie entered minutes ago. The hallway is dark, the air thick with mildew and dust. Every step feels like it echoes forever. I round a corner and freeze. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, coming from above. I press myself into the shadows. A man passes the hallway ahead, wearing black tactical gear and an earpiece. Not police, something else. He moves fast, without hesitation. He's not looking for someone. He knows where they are. I wait until he disappears up the stairwell, then slip down a different corridor. I need to find Callie. Fast. The building is a maze of broken doors and peeling wallpaper, each hallway dimly lit by slivers of dying sunlight through boarded windows. My heart is pounding so loud, I'm sure it's giving me away. I finally find a staircase and take it two at a time, ignoring the creaks and groans beneath me. Then I hear it. Her voice, muffled, urgent, close. I follow the sound to room 212. The door is cracked. I peek through the gap and freeze. Callie is inside, so is Elias, tied to a chair, dazed, a deep cut on his forehead. And then there's the third man. He's tall, wearing gloves, standing with his back to the door, holding a gun pointed straight at her. Callie is speaking calmly, but her eyes are sharp. You don't need to do this, she says. You can still walk away. The man laughs. You don't get it, do you? You never did. This was never about you. You're just the example. The message she shifts slightly, glancing, just once, toward the door where I'm hiding. She knows I'm here. I take a breath. Quietly, I pull the emergency flare from my pocket, one we brought as a distraction if things went south. They have. I light it and toss it into the hallway, far from the door. The flare sizzles to life, bathing the corridor in a blinding red glow and hissing like a pipe about to burst. The man in the room turns. That's all I need. I charge in. Callie moves at the same time, grabbing a broken lamp and swinging it into his side. He stumbles, fires a shot. Crack! It hits the wall, just inches from Elias. I tackle the man from behind, and for a second we're all in motion, yelling, crashing, struggling in the claustrophobic room. Callie grabs the gun, points it straight at him. Don't! She says, her voice shaking. Don't make me do this. The man goes still, breathing hard. Then, slowly, he lifts his hands. Callie backs away, still holding the gun with both hands. Elias, I say, rushing to untie him. His wrists are raw, face pale, but he nods weakly. You're alive, he murmurs. Barely, I reply. We tie the man up with the same cords Elias was restrained with. Callie doesn't speak. Her hands are trembling so hard she nearly drops the gun. He said it's not about me, she mutters. That I was just the message. Then let's send one back, I say. We take everything. Photos, weapons, devices, even a phone the man had in his pocket. It's unlocked. Inside, we find messages, voice memos, location data, all confirming what Callie suspected. This operation wasn't rogue. It was part of a sanctioned, off-the-books program. A real one, funded, staffed, buried beneath fake charities and special units. We leave the hotel under the cover of twilight, taking Elias with us. No sirens follow. No shadows chase us this time. But we know this isn't over. Back at the cabin, we patch Elias up. He sleeps for hours, body limp, soul frayed. Callie and I sit outside, watching the moon rise over the tree line. I almost shot him, she says quietly. I wanted to. I don't respond. What do you say to that? She exhales. I thought disappearing would keep people safe. That if I took the fall, they'd stop hunting. But they didn't. They just changed tactics. You tried to disappear, I say, but the truth didn't. She nods slowly. And then, she does something I don't expect. She pulls out her phone, the second burner, and begins typing. What are you doing? I'm going public, she says. No more shadows, no more whispers. If we die tomorrow, I want everyone to know why. And she does. She uploads the files, the photos, the voice memos, the list of names. She doesn't hide. She signs her real name, Callie Harper, and then she hits send to all. For the first time in years, she doesn't look afraid. She looks free. It doesn't take long. Within hours of Callie's post going live, the internet begins to ripple. Not explode, at least not yet, but tremble beneath the surface, like a lake disturbed by something moving far below. Anonymous accounts begin sharing the post, then forums, then small blogs, Reddit threads, independent journalists. Some call it a hoax, others don't. A few hours later, the platform flags the file for violating terms of service. The post is removed, but by then, it's already copied, mirrored, archived, reposted. The truth, once buried, is alive now, and multiplying. We spend the next day monitoring everything from Elias's secure network in the cabin. He stays glued to the screen like it's an oxygen tank. Occasionally, he mutters something about verifying metadata or layered breadcrumbs. I don't understand most of it. I don't need to. He's making sure the file spreads, and it is. That night, Callie and I sit on the porch again, wrapped in mismatched blankets, sipping instant coffee that tastes like earth and old socks. Neither of us speaks for a while. Finally, I say it. You did it, she smiles faintly. Number we did. Then her smile fades. But it's not over. I nod, because I know what she means. We've pulled the curtain back, but that doesn't mean the audience sees what's behind it. The truth isn't enough by itself. It needs to be heard, understood, protected, and more than anything, it needs to be believed. They'll come again, she says, just in different ways. They'll discredit, rewrite, shift the focus, maybe even turn us into villains. They might, I admit. But the story's already out. The version they controlled? That version's dead. She lets out a long, shaky breath. I just wish I hadn't lost so much getting here. I turn to look at her. You didn't lose me. She holds my gaze. Number I didn't. We fall into silence again, broken only by the sound of the wind in the trees. Then she says something I didn't expect. Do you remember that summer we planned to write a book together? I smile. The one about a time traveler who couldn't save her best friend? Yeah, she whispers. Except I think we just lived it, in reverse. I laugh softly. So, what do we call this one? She thinks for a second, then shrugs. The girl who came back from the dead. Bit dramatic, I tease. She raises an eyebrow. Says the girl who tackled an armed man in an abandoned hotel. Touché. We sit there, watching the sky turn purple, listening to the low hum of frogs waking up and crickets beginning their nightly orchestra. And that's when it hits me. The moment. That strange, fragile moment where things haven't been resolved, but they've shifted. We're no longer running, we're standing, and that, somehow, feels like victory. Later that night, we hear news from Elias. A small international outlet has picked up the file, verified it. It's making waves, real ones. A handful of names have already stepped down from their positions, claiming health reasons. A couple deny everything. One has gone silent completely. The truth is pushing, and people are listening. But then, a message comes in. Not from a journalist, not from a follower, from Ethan, Callie's brother. She stares at the screen, hands trembling again. You okay? I ask. She nods once, then opens the message. We need to talk. I didn't know everything. I want to now. She exhales like she's been holding her breath for years. I guess the past always finds a way back, she says. But now, I reply, you're ready for it. She nods again. Yeah, I think I am. We don't talk about disappearing anymore. Now, the conversation is about rebuilding, about what it means to exist in the open, to live with the truth, even when it hurts. Because after everything, the hardest part isn't surviving, it's staying. We meet Ethan at a diner off the interstate, the kind that still smells like old grease and burned coffee no matter how often they clean it. It's a strange place for a reunion, but maybe that's the point. Somewhere public, somewhere neutral, somewhere no ghosts can follow. Callie is quiet on the drive there. She stares out the window, twisting a ring around her thumb that I've never seen before, a small silver band with a barely visible crack down the middle. I didn't think he'd reach out, she says as we pull into the gravel parking lot. You ready for this? I ask. No, she says, but I think it's time anyway. Ethan is already inside when we walk in. He stands up the moment he sees her. Older, a bit heavier than I remember. He's wearing the same jacket he wore at her funeral. His hands tremble as he pulls her into a hug. I thought you were dead, he whispers. I was, she says, in all the ways that mattered. We take a booth in the corner, and for a long moment, no one speaks. Just the clinking of dishes from the kitchen, the distant hum of a highway, and the low murmur of a radio playing something soft and forgettable. Then Ethan clears his throat. They told me not to ask questions, said it would only hurt more. Callie looks down. And you didn't? I did, just not out loud. He slides a manila envelope across the table. After your funeral, I found things in your room. Notes, articles, printed emails. Some were shredded. Others were hidden. It took me a while to piece it together. Callie opens the envelope, eyes scanning its contents. Her own handwriting, some of it faint from water damage, but legible. You were preparing to disappear. Ethan says, and I ignored the signs. I told myself grief was simpler than betrayal. But the truth is, I was angry, because you didn't trust me. I was trying to protect you, she says quietly. I know, and now I want to help. Callie glances at me, then back at her brother. Why now? Because the world knows now, and because I see what they're doing to you online. We've seen it too. In the days since Elias helped publish the data, the backlash has come hard and fast. Debunkers, trolls, anonymous threats, claims of deepfakes and doctored evidence. The usual noise meant to drown out the signal. But Ethan, he heard the signal. I work in IT, he says. Nothing fancy, but I know how to trace signals, encrypt messages, build firewalls. If you're going to keep fighting this, you'll need protection. Not just from the people chasing you, but from the people who want to believe them. Callie's face crumbles, just for a second. I never wanted to drag you into this. You didn't, he replies. I walked in. We finish our coffee in quiet solidarity. Then, Ethan does something unexpected. He hands her a key. I bought Mom's old cabin back, the one you used to sneak away to when things got bad. It's empty, off the grid. If you ever need to disappear again, properly this time, it's yours. Callie doesn't cry, but her hands shake when she takes it. Thank you, she whispers. On the way back to the cabin, she leans her head against the window and says nothing for a long time. Finally, I think I believe in second chances now. I glance over. Yeah? Yeah, even for people like me. I smile, especially for people like you. Back at the cabin, Elias is packing. He's decided to leave the country, at least for a while. Too many people know my face, he says, but I'll keep publishing, keep whispering. You two just keep surviving. We hug him goodbye. He doesn't say much, but he doesn't need to. That night, Callie and I light a fire in the old pit outside. For warmth. For comfort. Maybe even for symbolism. As the flames rise, I ask, so, what now? She takes a deep breath. I think I want to write that book. The one about the girl who came back from the dead. No, she says. The one about the girl who never really left. About what happens when you stop running. About how the truth doesn't just set you free. It makes you brave. I nod. I'd read that. She leans into me, shoulder to shoulder. I want to live, she says softly. Not just exist in the corners of someone else's fear. I want my name back. I want my life. And in that moment, I know she's not a ghost anymore. She's real. She's here. And she's finally home. The wind is softer now. It moves through the trees like a lullaby, brushing against the cabin walls, carrying with it the scent of pine and something older, something quieter. The fire outside has turned to embers, their soft orange glow flickering against the dark. We've been sitting in silence for a while now, letting the weight of the past weeks settle into something less sharp. Callie's lying back on the porch, arms folded beneath her head, gazing up at the stars. They look brighter than I remember, she says. They haven't changed, I reply. I know, she says with a soft smile. I have. The quiet wraps around us like a blanket. There's nothing chasing us tonight. No shadows, no messages, just stillness, and the kind of peace that only comes when you stop waiting for someone else to save you. Do you think people will believe it? She asks after a while. They'll believe what they're ready to believe, I answer. But that's not on us anymore. She nods slowly, the kind of nod that doesn't need to be spoken aloud, the kind that means she understands. In the morning, we'll leave the cabin. Not because we're running, but because we're ready. The files are out. The truth has roots now, growing in corners of the internet too tangled to be erased. There are people asking questions, journalists digging, whispers turning into words, and even if they come again, even if the silence tries to swallow it all, someone will remember. We've made sure of that. Callie rolls onto her side, facing me. I used to think vanishing was the only way to win. that the world was too big, too loud, and the only thing someone like me could do was disappear before it crushed me. I don't say anything. I just listen. But I think I was wrong, she continues. The brave thing isn't going quiet. It's speaking louder, even when your voice shakes, even when it costs you. I take her hand. It's warm now, steady. You did it, I whisper. No, she says. We did. The fire dies down to coals. The stars blur at the edges of my vision. Sleep tugs at the edges of our thoughts, not from exhaustion, but from relief. The kind of sleep that doesn't come with fear scratching at the windows. Before we go inside, she whispers something so soft I almost miss it. Thank you for opening the door. And I know exactly what she means. Not just that night, the one where everything began, but every door since. Every question I didn't push too hard. Every time I stayed when I could have run. Every time I believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. I open the cabin door, she follows. And as we step inside, there's a strange and beautiful finality in the air. We've reached the end of the story. But we're not lost anymore. We're exactly where we're meant to be. So to you, who's still here with us at this quiet hour, I want to say this. Let the truth live. Let the quiet be kind. Let the people you love know they're not alone. And if someone ever knocks at your door with haunted eyes and a story that doesn't make sense, maybe open it. You never know what or who you might be saving. Good night.